New laws in California and Chicago is taking place. I want to share them with you. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this subject, but it is some things that we got to mine out, including driver's licenses. Driver's licenses for undocumented migrants inside of Chicago. You won't believe it. Check a look.
Also in effect today, eligible undocumented immigrants can apply for standard driver's licenses in Illinois. Officials hope this reduces the stigma around driving without citizenship and makes the roads across the state safer. CBS 2's Sabrina Franza is live for us on this. And Sabrina, how different is this new law from what we've seen before?
Hey, Marie, this new law replaces what was known as TVDL. That's a temporary visitor's driver's license with a standard Illinois driver's license, much like the one most documented Americans have here in the state of Illinois, whereas previously you couldn't use TVDL as a form of ID. Now you can. Here's the old license. You see this large purple rectangle at the top of the card, distinguishing this one as a temporary visitor's driver's license. The person who holds this has completed their written and road tests and has proof of insurance, but does not have documentation as a U.S. citizen. Now those will be replaced with these standard driver's licenses with the same red rectangle that every Illinois license has. These would just say federal limits apply up top. License holders can use that form of ID while doing things like filling prescriptions, applying for an apartment, or opening a bank account. They cannot use it to vote. The new law also prohibits the use of data from licenses to be used for immigration enforcement purposes. Only when an immigration agent provides a court-ordered warrant or subpoena can they request that information.
Somebody says, K. Gapara 21 says, who keeps passing these laws? Wait a minute, I thought it wasn't important for us to vote. Your legislators are passing these laws. The governors, the mayors, the aldermen, the councilmen, the congressmen, the state representatives, the Republicans, the Democrats, all of the people. See, y'all don't ask these questions. Y'all not aware of what's going on inside of these houses. And when I say these houses, I'm talking about the state houses where they determine what's happening with your laws. And you elect these people to spend your hard-earned tax dollars in order to ensure that these things are passed. So now when they pass, you can't disagree with them because they're not doing anything different than what you agreed to when you decided to not vote or not participate in who gets into office in the first place. Somebody in the chat said that this is a fast track to citizenship. They want to remove the stigma associated with and give them more rights. Slowly but surely, every single year, they pass new laws that ultimately went into effect on July 1st. In Chicago, Illinois, and all of y'all states across the country, we're only talking about the major ones right now in order to illustrate a point. But they're basically pushing them on a pathway into citizenship. And then they're giving them basically more rights that allow for them to be able to operate the same way that you do. They got the same rights that you do. They one step away from being able to vote. The only thing that they can't do is vote. They can get housing. They driving your cars. They walking around. They got basically the same rights as you. And now they're trying to remove the stigma that's associated with them even being able to drive. Same rights as you, buddy.
The change, which mimics similar laws already in place in other states like New York, New Jersey, and California, aims to encourage unlicensed drivers to take their road tests with proof of insurance.
That means fewer drivers with valid driver's license.
Secretary of State, y'all know who Alexi? Y'all know who Alexi is? You know who those guys are? Those two guys sitting next to him? Y'all even know who these people are?
It means fewer drivers who have passed written driving tests or learned the rules of the road. It means fewer drivers who have passed stringent behind the wheel driving tests.
The state estimates that they will mail out 22,000 new IDs to those who have already requested them today. They also say over 300,000 people here just in the state of Illinois are eligible for this new change.
Over 300,000 people in the state of Illinois. And then it's a pathway in order for them to be able to get work and get new jobs and be able to start to pay taxes. And then next thing you know, they're going to be sitting there saying, oh, no, we don't want this in our neighborhood. And to get health care coverage and to get schooling. It's all just a pathway into having more rights in the places that you've existed in for a long time. California, they got new laws that's going into effect also.
Some new California laws go into effect today after being signed by Governor Gavin Newsom during last week's legislative session.
And KTVU's Amanda Quintana is here in the studio now to give us details, Amanda, as some of the biggest changes. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, these new laws span an array of topics from hidden fees to housing and education. So let's just focus on two of them right now. Landlords can no longer ask a renter for 3 months' rent as a security deposit. There's now a cap at 1 month's rent.
And why is this significant? Some people are saying, oh, no, they shouldn't be able to ask for at least 3 months' rent as a security deposit. Why is that significant? Well, if you're a renter or if you're a person that's looking to slumlord it out or squat it out, and California is one of the most difficult places for you to be able to get somebody out of your crib. It could take you more than a year, sometimes up to 2 years, depending on what time of the year it is, for you to eventually get somebody out of your crib that's squatting or a renter that decides that they're no longer wanting to pay rent. Because all the laws are crafted in order to help the criminals ultimately do some of the worst things to the people that's actually taking care of business, right? I know people that own a lot of properties in California. I coach them and said, Anton, where is it that we need to be able to go to in order to invest? Because, I stand on my platform, you need to be absolutely familiar with the area and the places that you invest in, especially from a real estate perspective, because it's a huge risk and a huge gamble as far as, whether or not you're going to lose your investment or you're going to be able to capitalize off the investment. They say, man, Anton, everywhere in California is bad. It's 100% bad. Well, why don't they now want you to have 3 months and 1 month, right? Well, they're saying that people can't get housing. But one of the reasons why they raise it up to at least 3 months, or landlords was requiring 3 months, is because it would be less likely for you to then be able to default because you want your security deposit back. And if you did default, well, at least they had some protections and some coverage over the time that it's going to take in order to be able to get you out of the crib so that they'll take less of a loss. So basically, landlords was building in protections for themselves to prevent people from being able to finesse them out of housing because so many people was defaulting on their rent payments and was not leaving, and then it was taking a long time to be able to get them out the house, especially during the pandemic or where they had the rent moratorium.
This applies to the majority of landlord properties, but there is an exemption for landlords with small rental portfolios. They can ask for 2 months' rent. Now let's jump to a new law for bars and nightclubs. More than 2,000 establishments are now required to have date rape drug testing kits on site. These kits can tell if someone has spiked a drink.
Getting a tool to actually check, and that also gives us the ability to know that happened and go back on our cameras and look around and be able to see the situation and look at your drink specifically.
I didn't know about this one.
Those bars must also have signs to tell people that these kits are available. Bars can either give the kits out for free or charge a reasonable price. This bill was passed unanimously.
Has anybody ever been roofied before? Just curious, let me know in the chat if you ever been roofied before.
Now, throughout the morning, we'll continue to break down some of the other new laws, including changes to the reasons why a student can be suspended from school. We'll have more on that in just an hour.
These are some of the dumbest laws that I've ever seen in my life. A law to tell you a reason why a child can get suspended for school. They actually are spending time in order to craft these laws.
Pam, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. Restaurant surcharges will remain legal in California. Over the weekend, Governor Newsom signed a bill that exempts restaurants from that new law. It allows restaurants to continue to charge the so-called junk fees as long as they clearly are marked on the menu. California's restaurant industry says these surcharges are critical to the survival of the industry, but not every restaurant owner supports the fees.
Don't really agree with putting the surcharges on. I would rather just raise my prices and clearly have it labeled on the menu so the guests can see the pricing before instead of at the end.
Raising a family of 5 in a high cost of living and then on top of that having a surcharge makes it extremely challenging.
Why do people act like that they have to go out to eat, first of all? Because I don't necessarily agree with the surcharges either. But when I hear people make these stupid arguments, let me show you what she said again. I'm going to play this one more time.
before instead of at the end.
Raising a family of 5 in a high cost of living and then on top of that having a surge charge makes it extremely challenging.
Just stay your ass home and cook. What are you talking about? I mean, like I said, I don't believe in throwing all of these hidden fees and surcharges on the menu and stuff either. But the argument that you can't go out to eat because you got a family of 5 is...
Many restaurant owners say the surcharges can help them pay city health department fees along with a number of other expenses. But critics say the new law will simply make it more expensive to eat.
So anyways, those are the laws that's in place or being instituted as of yesterday in Chicago, Illinois, and across California in particular. So just be very, very careful about who you're driving next to in Illinois and whether